There is a sacred strength in quiet withdrawal that few ever master. The world teaches you to respond, to defend, to clap back, to prove your side of the story. But wisdom teaches you something else. That not every truth requires your voice. Not every lie deserves your energy. And not every betrayal deserves your reaction. The mature know that silence is not surrender, it is strategy. When you hold your peace, you hold your power. There comes a season when you realize that your spirit is too valuable to be constantly drained by people who thrive on chaos. Some people survive only when they can pull you into their storm. But when you refuse to respond, when you no longer dance to the rhythm of their dysfunction, their power dies in your silence. They feed off your energy, your attention, your reactions. Starve them. Starve their gossip, their manipulation, their drama. Feed your peace instead. You see, anger creates noise, but silence creates distance, and in distance, truth reveals itself. When you step back, you begin to see who is truly for you and who is simply around you. Time and silence expose intentions far more clearly than arguments ever could. You don't have to curse them. You don't have to confront them. Your absence will teach them more than your words ever could. Some lessons are best delivered by distance. There's a kind of peace that cannot be explained, a divine quietness that only comes when you stop fighting for what was never meant for you. You'll feel it the moment you stop forcing conversations that no longer nourish your soul. You'll feel it when you no longer justify your worth to people blind to your value. You'll feel it when you realize that sometimes the best response is no response at all. That's not coldness. That's clarity. That's what growth feels like. Silence is the discipline of the wise. It's the ability to be still when every part of you wants to speak. It's the ability to sit in peace while others stir in confusion. It's the inner knowing that God is your defender, not your explanation. When you remain silent, heaven speaks for you. God begins to fight battles behind the scenes, turning what they meant for harm into something that elevates you. The less you speak, the louder your life becomes. You don't need to post about it, argue about it, or cry about it. Just go quiet. Let your silence become your testimony. Let your transformation do the talking. People who hurt you will expect anger. They won't know what to do with peace. Silence disarms them. It unsettles them. Because in a world addicted to noise, calm is power. And when you choose peace over pettiness, heaven takes notice. Think about it. How many times have you wasted precious energy trying to explain yourself to someone determined not to understand you? How many times have you spoken your truth to deaf ears? There's a freedom that comes when you realize your value doesn't decrease because someone refuses to see it. You don't lose anything by walking away. You gain everything that matters: your focus, your time, your strength, your sanity. It's not that you've stopped caring. It's that you've started prioritizing your peace. You've learned that you can wish people well from a distance. You can forgive them without inviting them back into your space. You can bless them without letting them sit at your table again. That's maturity. That's self-respect. The moment you stop entertaining unnecessary battles, your life starts to rise. There's a difference between cutting people off with anger and cutting them off with silence. Anger seeks revenge. Silence seeks peace. Anger says, I'll show you. Silence says, you'll see. Anger fights to be heard. Silence trusts to be understood by God, not by them. When you let go of anger, you release yourself. Anger binds you to what hurt you. Silence frees you from it. You must learn to discern who deserves access to your peace. Everyone cannot go where you're going. Some people can only survive in your past. They were part of your preparation, not your destination. And when God begins to elevate you, he will separate you, not as punishment, but as protection. Don't grieve what he removes. Some exits are divine, some distance is mercy. Silence is often the tool God uses to transition you from the old to the new. The silence you embrace today will build the strength you need for tomorrow. It will sharpen your discernment, deepen your focus, and restore your energy. You'll start to notice that not responding doesn't mean you're weak. It means you've learned where your power truly lies. You no longer react emotionally to what doesn't deserve your spirit. You've found something greater, inner peace. Silence doesn't mean you're pretending nothing happened. It means you trust that everything has a purpose. Even rejection, even misunderstanding, even betrayal. Some of your greatest growth will come from the people who walked away. They thought they buried you, but they were really planting you. Your silence is the soil where transformation begins. When you stop explaining, you start evolving. When you stop arguing, you start ascending. When you stop seeking validation, you start walking in revelation. The people who misunderstood your silence will watch your results speak louder than your voice ever could. You'll reach a point where you don't need to defend your peace, because peace itself becomes your proof that you've grown. And as you grow, your circle gets smaller, your conversations get deeper, your boundaries get stronger. You'll find joy in solitude, strength in stillness, and purpose in quiet. You'll realize that silence doesn't mean the absence of sound. It means the presence of peace. It means your soul has matured beyond the need for noise. So walk away gracefully. Don't slam doors, don't shout back, don't prove a point. Just let the silence do the work. It will echo louder than anger ever could. It will protect what words can't. And while they wonder why you stopped talking, you'll be too busy walking into the next chapter God prepared for you. lighter, freer, wiser, and completely at peace. The power of silence is a divine discipline, one that separates the strong from the impulsive, the mature from the reactive. There is something profoundly beautiful about a person who no longer feels the need to respond to everything that challenges them. The more you grow, the more you realize that not every opinion matters, not every insult deserves acknowledgement, and not every situation requires your energy. The older your spirit becomes, the quieter your voice grows. Silence is not a retreat, it is an advancement into wisdom. Some people were sent into your life to teach you how to be quiet, how to be still, how to guard your peace. You prayed for strength, and God allowed certain people to test it. You prayed for discernment, and he showed you who never deserved your trust. You prayed for elevation, and he began to separate you from the noise. Do not resist the silence that follows separation. That silence is sacred. It is where God whispers answers you could never hear in the chaos. There are times when silence becomes your loudest declaration. When you choose not to argue, not to retaliate, not to explain, you're saying, I have outgrown this. Silence speaks a language that only peace can understand. It carries authority without shouting, confidence without arrogance, and truth without defense. There is strength in holding your tongue when you know you could destroy someone with words, but choose not to. That restraint is power. That restraint is maturity. That restraint is proof that your emotions no longer control your destiny. The people who try to provoke you often misunderstand your silence as weakness. Let them. They can interpret your calm however they wish. You don't owe them an explanation. Silence is not about being passive. It's about being purposeful. It's the ability to stay grounded while others lose their balance. When you remain still, you become unpredictable. They don't know what you're thinking, what you'll do next, or how to manipulate your peace. Silence disorients those who depend on your reaction to feel relevant. There are moments in life where the best apology is silence. Not because you don't care, but because words would only make things worse. There's a healing that takes place when you stop explaining what your heart already understands. When you stop arguing with those committed to misunderstanding you, you set yourself free. You realize that some people don't want resolution. They want chaos. They don't seek understanding. They seek control. When you refuse to participate in their games, you win without even playing. Every season of silence is a season of preparation. God hides you before he promotes you. He quiets your environment before he reveals your next assignment. Sometimes your silence isn't about them at all. It's about you. It's about learning how to listen to the still, small voice within. How to hear divine direction without the distraction of noise. If you can't be still, you can't be guided. If you can't be silent, you can't be instructed. Your next level requires a quieter version of you. There will always be people who misinterpret your silence. They'll say you've changed. They'll call you distant, cold, detached. But you know better. You've simply stopped entertaining nonsense. You've stopped wasting your breath on things that add no value to your soul. You've discovered that silence has a sound. The sound of growth, the sound of peace, the sound of clarity. Those who truly love you will understand it. Those who don't are only attached to your noise, not your spirit. You cannot walk in purpose and still be addicted to approval. You cannot chase destiny and still chase validation. Silence breaks the chains of needing to be understood. It liberates you from the prison of pleasing everyone. When you stop explaining, you stop bleeding. You begin to heal in places where argument used to wound you. The moment you start valuing your peace more than your pride, transformation begins. Every time you remain silent in the face of conflict, you choose mastery over reaction. You rise above the temptation to prove your worth, because real worth never begs to be believed. When you respond to negativity with silence, you communicate strength. You show that your emotions are not for sale, that your peace is not negotiable, and that your value is not dependent on external validation. Silence becomes your shield against toxicity. Don't misunderstand silence for inaction. While you are silent, you are healing. While you are silent, you are observing. While you are silent, you are growing in wisdom. There's a quiet work happening inside you that doesn't need to be broadcast. Not everything that's growing must make noise. Some of the most powerful transformations happen in stillness, just as a seed grows underground before it ever breaks the surface. When you learn to embrace silence, you also learn to discern whose voices deserve space in your life. Some conversations no longer interest you, some debates no longer move you, and some people no longer disturb your peace. You simply let them go, not in anger, but in gratitude, because they taught you how to value your tranquility. The people who left, the ones who misunderstood you, the ones who disrespected your boundaries, they were all part of your education in peace. You start to understand that silence doesn't just cut people off, it cuts away the parts of yourself that used to need them. It removes dependency. It severs emotional ties that kept you stuck in cycles of pain. You no longer seek closure from others because your silence has already closed the chapter. You no longer beg to be seen because your silence has already redefined your worth. You've stopped fighting battles that no longer align with your destiny. When you walk in silence, you walk with purpose. You move differently. You think differently. You become intentional about your energy. You realize that peace is not found. It's protected. You stop explaining your boundaries because those who respect you won't need an explanation. Silence teaches you how to protect what's sacred without apology. It teaches you how to let your stillness speak in a world that values volume over value. The people who once caused you pain will eventually notice the power of your absence. They'll realize that your silence was never weakness. It was wisdom. It was your soul saying, I'm done fighting for what drains me. And in that moment, you'll see the beauty of walking away quietly. You didn't lose anything. You gained yourself. There will come a day when you look back and thank God for the times you chose silence over argument, peace over pride, distance over drama, because that was the moment your spirit learned to stand still and let God move. That was the moment your silence became your greatest testimony. The moment you discovered that real power doesn't shout, it whispers. And in that whisper, your strength was reborn. There is a sacred moment in life when you no longer need to prove who you are to anyone. That moment arrives quietly, without a sound, and it changes everything. It's the moment you realize that peace is more precious than winning an argument. That moment is where silence becomes your ally, not your punishment. You no longer chase explanations. You no longer fight to be heard. You simply understand that those who truly know your heart never needed your defense in the first place. It takes courage to walk away without bitterness. It takes strength to stay calm when everything inside you wants to speak. It takes wisdom to remain still when chaos surrounds you. Silence is not just the absence of words. It is the presence of control. It means your emotions no longer dictate your direction. It means you've learned to listen to your intuition more than your impulses. It means you've matured beyond the need for validation. When you reach that place of spiritual maturity, your silence becomes louder than any speech you could give. People will sense it in your presence, in your energy, in the way you carry yourself. You no longer have to shout to be respected. You no longer have to explain to be understood. Your stillness commands attention because peace is magnetic. Those who are used to noise won't understand it, but that's not your concern. There was a time when you felt the need to confront every misunderstanding, to correct every false story, to argue with those who wronged you. But that season ends when wisdom begins. You learn that truth doesn't require an audience. It stands firm even when silence surrounds it. The people meant to walk with you will see your truth through your consistency, not through your arguments. Let your silence protect your dignity, and let your actions speak the language your words no longer need to. Not everyone deserves access to your emotions. Not everyone has earned the privilege of your explanation. There are some people whose only intention is to provoke a reaction, to disturb your peace, to drain your spirit. The moment you refuse to engage, you disarm them completely. They can't understand calm because they thrive on conflict. But when you stop feeding their need for attention, they fade into irrelevance. Silence is the closure they'll never be ready for. When you choose to stay silent, you're not giving up. You're letting go. You're saying, I will no longer let your chaos dictate my peace. You're not avoiding confrontation. You're choosing elevation. Some arguments are beneath the level of your purpose. When you're walking in divine assignment, you don't stop to throw stones at every barking dog. You keep walking because your destiny demands focus. Silence is not running away. It's moving forward in wisdom. In silence, you begin to hear yourself again. You begin to feel the parts of your soul that you neglected while trying to be understood by others. You start to rebuild your confidence, not from approval, but from peace. You start to dream again, love yourself again, believe again. Silence becomes your sanctuary. It's in those quiet moments that you rediscover your worth. You realize that peace is not something people give you. It's something you protect fiercely. When you stop arguing, you make space for clarity. When you stop explaining, you make space for revelation. When you stop reacting, you make space for God to respond on your behalf. The less you speak, the more he moves. And when he moves, everything that tried to bring you down begins to fall apart without your interference. That's why silence is divine. It invites heaven to fight for you. Your silence is purpose. It is not empty. It is full of faith. It says, I don't need to defend myself because I trust who defends me. Every battle doesn't deserve your voice. Some battles are meant to be won through stillness. You may not see results immediately, but trust that God is working while you wait. He sees what they said behind your back. He knows what they did when you weren't looking. And your silence becomes the seed from which justice grows. There are people who will never apologize. There are wounds that will never receive closure. But silence will heal what words cannot. Silence will give you peace in the absence of apology. It will teach you that healing does not come from what they say. It comes from what you decide to release. When you go quiet, you take back your authority. You're no longer defined by what happened to you, but by how you chose to rise from it. You'll notice that your energy begins to shift. You'll smile more, breathe easier, and sleep better. You'll start to feel the peace that once seemed impossible. And it all begins when you choose silence over reaction. The same people who tried to pull you into conflict will wonder how you became so calm. They'll look for the old version of you, the one who used to explain, argue, and defend, but they won't find them. That version of you has evolved. Silence matures the soul. It teaches patience. It refines your thoughts. It builds a foundation that no insult can shake. The one who controls their tongue controls their life. You'll notice that when you stop speaking about certain things, they stop having power over you. When you stop reacting to certain people, they lose the ability to disrupt your peace. That's what true emotional intelligence looks like. The ability to stay silent in moments when speaking would cost your serenity. Sometimes silence hurts more than anger ever could. Because when you cut someone off with silence, they are left alone with their conscience. They start to feel the weight of their actions. They begin to understand what your presence meant. You don't need to curse them. Silence will do it for you. You don't need to announce your departure. Absence will speak it. Silence leaves them wondering, reflecting, regretting while you continue to grow. And as time passes, you'll see that silence not only protects your peace, but it also amplifies your success. The things you were once trying to prove with words will now be proven through results. People who doubted you will have no choice but to respect the quiet strength that carried you. You'll look back and realize that silence was not emptiness. It was the soil where your transformation took root. You don't have to announce your healing. You don't have to explain your peace. Just live it. Let your life make the sound your silence once carried. Let your calm be your testimony, your growth be your response, and your peace be your revenge. Silence will always speak louder than anger, because silence is the voice of the wise, the weapon of the strong, and the language of those who have learned that not so. In the end, you come to realize that silence is not the absence of voice. It is the presence of power. It is the decision to protect your peace instead of proving your point. It is the wisdom to understand that not everyone deserves access to your spirit. Not everyone has earned a response, and not everything that provokes you is worth your energy. The most powerful version of you will not be the one that can argue the loudest, but the one that can walk away the calmest. When you cut them off without anger, you're not declaring war, you're declaring freedom. You're saying, I refuse to live my life in reaction to someone else's chaos. You are no longer available for confusion, disrespect, or manipulation. You've learned that silence is not weakness, it's a boundary wrapped in grace. You've learned that the higher you climb, the quieter it gets, because peace cannot coexist with noise. Let them talk, let them assume, let them misunderstand. Time will reveal what your silence already knew. Every word you didn't speak became a seed that God used to grow something beautiful inside you. Strength, patience, wisdom, and discernment. The same silence that once felt heavy now becomes holy. You begin to see that God was never asking you to fight back. He was asking you to be still so he could fight for you. So keep your peace sacred. Walk away gracefully. Do not waste your breath on explanations that only drain your spirit. Remember this truth. Silence is not your weakness, it's your weapon. The ones who tried to provoke you will be silenced by the sound of your success. The ones who doubted you will be humbled by your peace. And when you look back, you'll realize that cutting them off without anger was never about them. It was about you becoming who you were always meant to be, unshaken, unbothered, and untouchable. Because when your peace becomes your priority, your silence becomes your power, and your power becomes your testimony.